I got reincarnated as a god of all monsters in a different world. Prologue. A young man always thought that living his life as a person with disabilities was the best thing for him. He loved being able to play video games, hang out with his family, and stay home all day long. But then something happened that changed everything. He was murdered in cold blood in public by mobs of white supremacy for causing a Chinese virus. But he is Hmong, not Chinese, but for some reason, they didn't care, kill him, and they sent him into hell permanently. While he waiting to burn in hell, the black-dressed woman appears. She sees an innocent man while she is releasing 26 souls into hell. She drags him out of hell and sends him to her voids. She calls herself Eleanor, the goddess of death. She is here for the reason why he was here. The goddess of death asks him for her help. She needs someone to stop humanity's slaying each other and other races from her world and to end this problem. He asks the goddess of death about her situation. She tells him about her situation. While in the past, she is sitting with her thrones and dealing with 400 souls waiting for her to pass the next life, but then 50,000 more show up. She shouts, "I only wanted to be on my vacation." Back to the present. The man says, "Dang, it sucks to be you." She replies, "Well, it sucks to be you, died a virgin in your life." She roasts him with words. He want to say something, but the young man and Eleanor went sidetrack and continued her situation. "Someone is putting the strings to submit this crime, and some of these crimes are preparing for war," said Eleanor. He says, "Did you know who is creating this crime?" She answers, "It isn't one of the kingdoms or the demon lord. It has to be a cult." He says, "What is the cult name?" She says, "Don't know the name of the cult, but they praying an evil star god." "Evil star god?" He replies. She says, "Only way to beat an evil star god is to be a god themselves. You might be the salvation or destruction of mankind actions," said Eleanor. He nodded his head. She says, "Before you live again. What is your name?" You answer, "I'm Shangdao, or people call me Calvin." She is trying to say his name. She got his nickname and last name correct, but she can't say his first name because it is harder to pronounce it. She decides to call him X. He accepts her calling him X. Then she told X that each of the gods has its gimmicks and color of chaos. X feels excited about this. She says, "There are 11 colors of chaos. Red is destruction, orange is war, yellow is a plague, green is greed, blue is injustice, indigo is magic, violet is desire, gray is rebuilt, brown is hunger, white is pure power, and black is discrimination." She continued to talk about the 11 colors of chaos backstory, and then she gives a crystal orbs of color for what color he gets. Then the crystal orb changes color into a beautiful rainbow first, however it turns into pure black. Eleanor smiles and says, "Black. You are not the only one who got the color black. Black is a rare color of chaos. If you control the color of black, then you can control people at their own will, body, mind, and their soul. Hell, you can control ethnicity too." X asks Eleanor, "Who is the first person to get the color black?" She answers, "The first person who gets the color black believed he is American like you, but he is African. I am the goddess of death from my world. I never hear of Africa from your world before, but I wish I can visit there for my vacation someday." His name was Niles Luca Edwards. An immature poor boy who died at the hands of gun violence. Now he got reincarnated as an honest noble knight who slaughtered 7,000 demons and protected Stalin Kingdom. X talks to Eleanor about their all godlike gimmicks. She replies, "There's me, the god of heroes Nero, the god of villains Jason, the goddess of food Stella, the goddess of war Gloria, the goddess of peace Samantha, the goddess of an unsightly Penny, the goddess of beauty Serena, and last the god of the machine, Robert." She looks at X first and then she says, "Just like Niles. He chooses a knight class against demons from the Stalin Kingdom. There is a mage, a priest, a rouge, an inventor, an alchemist, a monk, an archer, a necromancer, etc." X says, "Okay, what kind of classes I can choose from the strength and weaknesses, is it just like a video game?" While rubbing his hand and smile. Before X makes a choice. The class X chose was the rouge class but was rejected for some reason. X tried a different attempt and chose the knight class, but it also rejected X too. After attempting all of them, X was still rejected. X looked confused and frustrated at the same time and asked Eleanor what happened. She replies, "Stay calm and let me figure it out myself." She checked all the classes X picked and all of them are just fine, but the classes rejected X without any question. She asks X, "I believe it is something to do with you, X." X replies, "Oh, really now? Well, what is stopping me from choosing the classes you give me?" She answers, it's gotta be something about you becoming a god. However, I don't know which god you are, X. X looks confused but X thinks inquisitively in this situation. Eleanor has a hypothesis and said, what are your hobbies, X? X answered the easiest question and said, mostly, I play video games all day. If you know what a video game is from your world. Also, I drew and created my monsters whatever I think of. Eleanor put her hand on her face and said, no, I don't need a man-child plaything. Second, it's the creativity of your monsters that causes this situation. She continues to talk to X and says, Calvin or X, there aren't any classes for you. Remember the classes you try to pick, but all of the classes are rejected by you, and the other classes you have chosen. It turns out all the classes wanted to give all of their skill trees to you because it seems guilty of itself. I hope you feel happy, X. X says, oh wow, thanks. I'd keep it as my treasure. She says, X, also the skill trees give X was given, are empty. So you got to make it yourself, X. X asks with an unfortunate face, how many? She smiled and said, probably, 100 or more. After that, she laughed at X because of his bad luck. My life sucks, X said with embarrassment. Then, she teleports X to his new life or new world, and before she sends X going there, X, it is time for you to play video games in reality. Said Eleanor, and she smiles at X. X heard the word of advice from his oldest sisters before, and then a bright white light appears on X's face. 2. Chapter 1. Beginning to the end. Welcome to the land of Yacharoth. A fantasy medieval continent is full of wonder and life. Magic in this world exists. The world thinks that demon lords were a threat when the evil star god and its followers appeared. They kept killing innocent people and killing their livestock in the 6 kingdoms. The 6 kingdoms are Grukonith, Griobepin, Uthaphilan, Zaazar, Stalem, and Kulalon kingdoms. All 6 kingdoms lived in peace until the king of Griobepin betrayed them and worshipped the evil star god. However, the citizens of Griobepin never adored the evil star god. Griobepin's citizens started a rebellion against their king for a few months until the evil star god intervened in the revolution. The rebellions were vanquished by the evil star god. They would rather get executed by the evil star god or flee to a different part of the world. Now the 5 kingdoms have a major threat on their hands. Meanwhile, on the demon lord's side, the demon lord has no choice but to watch them fight each other to death. It looks rather entertaining for the demon lord at first, but just then the evil star god invades the demon lord's domain. Both gods fought longer than a few weeks until the evil star god and his army of soldiers retreated and hurried to Griobepin. The demon lord had achieved victory in the battle, but it was only just the beginning. In the southern part of Yacharoth, there was an island between 2 races. The prehistoric lizard men and vampires. They fought longer when the evil star god showed himself to the world. They fought for territory and resources to survive on this island. Food was running scarce on the islands. Then everything changed in a flash when our main protagonist, Shongthao aka Calvin or X, was woken up on the island's beach in the darkness. He looked around the island and said, Eleanor, you foolish goddess, why did you have to send me to the deserted island? He paused for a moment. Then a group of female vampires with glowing red eyes appeared from thin air. They were terrified and stared their red glowing eyes at our protagonist. He ran fast like the wind. The chase is on. He runs into the wet jungle and that never caught his sense. Then his plans failed him. A group of female vampires, at least 8 of them, are getting forward to him. He wanted to grab some materials to create a weapon, but making a stone axe is difficult to make it. So he runs to another side of the island. However, he can't run much longer. He is dehydrated and starved. But he is running out of stamina quickly. He started to walk slowly. He wanted to keep moving. The group of vampires appeared and was getting to him quickly. X thinks this is the end of him. But just then a miracle appeared. The sun was rising on the islands. X exclaimed, oh, wow. It's all right, morning already. That was fast. Now I'm saved. But then one of the female vampires became stuck in a trap by the lizard men. She felt a deep pain in her torso. Her friends tried to save her but failed because the sun began to rise upon the island. They shared a few words in their last moments, then they left into the darkness. As for her, she stays here and waits for her death. When X is exhausted and what going on? X was spying on the female vampires chasing after him. She was weeping and screaming over her death. X rethink himself. Did I want to help her suffering? X asks himself. She is still alive from the pain of the trap. Then X accidentally steps on a stick. 3. She hears X coming towards her in a panic. She hissed fiercely at X. She did not have time for him, so she threatens X with unknown languages. However, X doesn't understand what she's saying, but he knows she doesn't expect a friendly conversation. X must hurry before the sun kills her or else. Unfortunately, as he tries to calm her down, he is unsuccessful due to his lack of communication skills. X wants to try this again, but she continues hissing at X. When X slowly moves his hand, the trap appeared on her torso. She tries to grab X with her bloody hand. X quickly took a few steps back. Then for a brief moment, he lost his balance and fell on the soft grass. She continues to hiss at X. If you keep attacking me, I can't save you. X yells at her. She stops hissing at X and she calms herself down. X moves his hand again to the trap on her torso. As he pulls the trap out of her torso, she screamed in pain. When he successfully pulls out the trap, she collapses and fell to X. X realizes that her face isn't as fierce as before. The sun rising fast. X must hurry and find a cave on this island. She pulls out her hand on X's chest and enchants X with the magic of strength. X didn't have time for this. He carries her and finds the nearest cave on the island. He ran through the jungle and found a cave on the river's flank. He put her on the ground slowly and put her in the shades. When X was not looking, she stealthily jumps to X. X says, "So this is the way you treat people who trying to save you." She says nothing and tried to bite to X's neck. She moves slowly forward to his neck. Then the pain in her torso gets to her. Her thirst for human blood is intense. Her blood poured down her torso. She screamed in pain. If she does not feed on human blood, then she will die. X doesn't know what to do with this situation. X has an idea, but he thinks the unthinkable. He removed her from his chest slowly. Then he removed his pants and put up his underwear sleeves. It also exposes his thighs. She is not interested and pretends she didn't see that. X moved her head to his thighs and said, "Come on girl, you need to feed. My thighs taste yummy. Would you agree?" She hissed with anger with X's poor decision making. However, she took at X's thighs, then she took his words. She bites his thighs. X felt pain in his thigh, but he didn't want to scream. Her fang through his thighs and she started to feed on it. She feeds X's thighs hours and a half later. She is done feeding his thighs and her torso is fully healed. But she leaves a temptress bite mark on X's thighs. When X puts on his pant. Then X heard the footsteps of the lizard men dispatched to them. X tells her to time to go. She agreed and then they went deeper into the cave. Some reason lizard men are catching up to them. They run even deeper into the cave. Somehow they are on the edge of a cave cliff. X looks down and sees the underground river bank. X rethinks himself. How the lizard men found us. Unless, said X while in his thoughts. Then he hypothesis of it. X hypothesized that the lizard men kept following them because of the blood stains on her clothes. X wanted to ask her to take off her clothes, but X did not make her angry again. Also, he is perverted and causes a scene. So he empathizes with his plan. He pushes her to the edge cliff and said, "Please forgive me, I'm accomplishing and save yourself." She looks at X with a sad expression while she is falling into the water. Then minutes later X was captured by the lizard men without question. 4. Chapter 2. Wishing Thinking. In the lizard men village of Strathmore. The lizard men are celebrating their hunt. They are cheering, laughing, and enjoying their daily lives. However, X was sitting down on the floor in the lizard men's huts. X thought about his past life and said, "This is how I died in the new world. I miss my parents and my siblings. I wonder if they are okay, right now." X heard lizard men's footsteps coming closer and closer. Time has stopped and X says, "What, the Jurassic Park? Time has stopped, but why?" Then Eleanor, the goddess of death, appeared from the dark to rescue X, and so she cast a time spell to stop time itself. Eleanor says, "I'm sorry, I put you on a deserted island. I teleported you here by accident. I promise I will put you in a town with people who are passionate and yours alike." She cries with embarrassment. X had a disappointed look on his face and said, "Why did you put me on the deserted island? I almost got killed by a group of vampire ladies. However, I saved a vampire girl close to death. Now, I got kidnapped by hungry lizard men who want to eat me. Why?" She says, "Well, I sent you here by mistake. Your guardian angel from heaven told me that you were diagnosed with autism and a learning disability. People who are like you get lost easily, they don't know how to survive by themselves, and people who don't like them that much because they are not intelligent, etc. Also, I got yelled at by your guardian angel. If you died again in the new world, Heaven is going to punish me for your death. X says, I thought an afterlife is a safe place, but I guess not. She says, I thought the same thing. She pauses and took a deep breath, then she exhales. She continues to talk to X and says, listen to me, X, or Calvin, or whatever your name is. In exchange, I'm going to give you whatever you want. Also, there is no limit to how much you want when you ask me. In exchange, signing for this paper from heaven. You got to read carefully when you sign it. There is no turning back now. She gives the paper to X, then X signs the paper first, then she asks X and she says, hope you know you can't go to heaven or hell because hell despises you for some dumb reason. Your God does care about you, but humanity doesn't. Eleanor apologizes to X. X says, do you remember talking about my drawing? She says, yeah, why? X responds, well, I wanted my drawing of monsters to come back to life and serve my own will. However, I can't bring them here. I can't remember their species names and I can't bring my drawings cause I left them at home after I died. I want to increase strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. This new world speaks an unknown language. I don't understand what they say. Can you translate in my head? I want to be immune to water, fire, earth, wind, ice, darkness, light, poison, and disease magic. I want to learn all the magic, but I want to do magic without casting it. Eleanor says, yup, I can do that. Note to yourself, X. That is a lot for you to ask. Are you sure about this? X says, yup. She replies, okay, first, I'm going to bring your drawing from home to you. Second, I'm going to increase your strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck to the maximum in any way I can. Third, I will transfer translation magic to you, X. Then you will finally understand what the new world is saying to you. Fourth, I will grant you immunity to water, fire, earth, wind, ice, darkness, light, poison, and disease magic. Fifth, now you can cast spells without casting them. After X inscribes the paper from heaven with his name on it, he gives the paper back to Eleanor. 5. Then she casts her magic to bring his drawing to the new world first and give it to him. She cast her magic on X's head to increase his strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck at a maximum within a second. She puts translation magic on X in the third. She adds more magic to X for immunity to each element and disease magic in the last. She asked X again and said, anything else you want, X? X rethought in his head and said, how about time magic? Since you were able to pull it off. She replied, fine, I will allow you to have my time magic. She gave her time magic to X. What else do you want, X? She said. X says, infinite money. She says, wow, I didn't know you were getting greedy about money. She smiled and was shocked at X. X says, I need money for buying food, clothes, shelter, and toilet paper. Eleanor was dumbstruck about X's smart decision making. She says, smartass. Fine, you will have your infinite money, X. She put an infinite currency enchantment on X. She says, there, are you happy now, X? X says, yup, that's about it, I guess. She makes a portal and says, good, also can you please enter the portal and fill it with people in? I begged you, X. Before X enters the portal, X rethinks his decision. X decides to stay here for a bit causes he wants to investigate the island before he goes to open places. She says, it's decided then. I hope you feel happy about yourself, X. She pities X, however, she is excited about X's decision making and what comes next for him. She changes the portal into her voids. She steps in her voids, then slowly closed the portal and said, I hope that we meet again and again in time and space. After that her time magic wears off. The lizard men enter the hut. He has a stone spear and he hissed at X if he making an effort. However, X moves his head down, X smile, and he got others' plans for these lizard men. The lizard men prepared the sacrifice ritual for X. X endeavored to look into the scary in his life, however, X thinks his goal. The lizard men tired up X to the wood pole of sacrifice. After that, they burned X to death, while the lizard men sacrifice X. They cheered and pray for the god. Something is strange, there is no screaming or agony. It is just silent while the fire is burning. Then few movements later, a gust of strong wind approached. When the whole villagers of lizard men hear what going on in the sacrifice ritual, X is unscathed and he began to untie himself from the wooden pole. X summoned his inferno dragon from his drawing from his mind. How the tables have turned, the lizard men have become X's prey. The The lizardmen made a great mistake sacrificing this human. When the lizardmen warriors come to the sacrifice ritual, X commanded his inferno dragon to scorch their weapons. X's inferno dragon used its dragon breath on their weapons. The lizardmen never see a dragon with fire everywhere on its body. It almost seemed the dragon was made of fire itself. The village was about to be burned to a crisp. The lizardman chief arrived to investigate what was going on out there. He saw something is wrong. With a stern face he noticed the village is under attack, but who is responsible for this calamity and this fierce dragon? 6. Chapter 3. Captured the lizardmen chief and their villagers. Part 1. When X was busy invading the lizardmen village, X encountered the lizardmen's strongest and most legendary hero in this world. Titled Chukoshoshk the Great, he is the lion-hearted warrior in his village. He is not alone. Ultica the Defender is the toughest warrior in his village and can't be defeated, and Pt.1 the archer marksman. She is a deadly and stealthily huntress on this island. The Chukoshoshk said, "Hey, you there." X looked at the lizardmen heroes. "How dare you attack my village?" Human. Ultica says, "Watch it, Chukoshoshk. He is dangerous, be careful." Pt.1 says, "I don't care, humans are easy targets anyways." She fired her bow at X's head with perfect accuracy. However, X was able to block the arrow, making it go into the flames of his inferno dragon, disintegrating it within seconds. "What the hell is that thing?" said Pt.1. She attempted to fire again but was met with the same result. Ultica says, "Using your ranged weapon is futile." Pt.1. X closed each of his hands and large flames burst into blades. Chukoshoshk was astonished by X's unique weapon enchantment. Chukoshoshk was ready to draw his obsidian sword of Skayatinger. His sword can cut anything skillfully. He says, "Young human, what is your name?" X replies, "I'm Shang, though mostly people call me Calvin from my world. In this world, for now, you might call me X." Chukoshoshk says, "I never heard such a name from foreigners like that before. Are you perhaps from another world?" Only royalty kings or nobles can summon a person from another world, not events like this. "No matter, you will pay for your crimes." He charges at X at full speed. X does the stand from the popular video game called Halo while he uses unnamed weapons enchanted like the energy sword from Halo. X charged back at him while advancing fast. Both of them charged toward each other fiercely. It was a duel between X and the legendary hero of the lizardmen, Chukoshoshk. His supporters were fighting against X's inferno dragon. Chukoshoshk and X raised their weapons against each other, causing an epic crash. However, Chukoshoshk stumbled forward and fell to his knees due to the destruction of his sword caused by X. Chukoshoshk lowered his weapon and shouted dreadfully, "Impossible! No mortal could break my weapons. Especially not the likes of you." His weapon melted like lava. X says, "Yield before me." Chukoshoshk felt humiliated and leaned towards defeat. Answers X, "I yield, however, I Chukoshoshk am the son of the chief and the hero. Are you going to kill me, X?" While X's glasses cracked into two parts, "No, I'm not going to kill you because it would be a waste. I want to learn about this world and stop evil star god from corruption." Chukoshoshk opens his eyes and says, "You here for evil star god? That evil bastard massacred 100% of the monsters, demons, elves, and others in this world for fun. Also, caused half the world's species to extinction. That's why we can't find any monsters to feed on." X commanded, "Tell your allies to stand down this instant." X commands his dragon to stand down while Chukoshoshk commanded his allies the same. However, Ultica and Pt.1 weren't pleased with this. Pt.1 says, "I challenge you to duel, human. I also covet a duel," Ultica said with a stern face. 7. X challenge Ultica first. Is it 1 versus 1? X vs Ultica the Defender. Ultica introduced himself as Ultica. X says, "I'm Shang, thou or call me Calvin. For now, call me X." Ultica replied, "X, why X?" X says, "The name Shang is a hard name to because in Hmong, was different language. Shang means bald or bear. It depends on belief." Ultica says, "What is Hmong?" "Well, never mind that, let's fight." X says, "I agree." Ultica attacked X first with his heavy hammer. However, X dodged Ultica's attack back and forth. Then finally Ultica's management landed on hit on X and says, "It kinda sad that you don't have any armor on you, kid." X cast his very own magic called Mirror Force. Ultica says, "Magical force fields, too old, kid. Time to face your demise." When Ultica's weapons impact X Mirror Force, Ultika's weapons almost strike him on his head. However, Ultika moves his head and his weapons, hovers, and crashes into the trees. Ultika was shocked and amazed about X and said, I never see that powerful magical force field before. It is much stronger than dragons and wizards in one. That is power shouldn't exist. X says, do you yield or not? Ultika says, I got one trick on my sleeves, kid. X says, was that is. Ultika responded, my fists. Ultika tries to punch X in his face. X cast his magic called the God Eye of Odin. Ultika's body is frozen because of eye contact. Ultika says, my body I can't move. What have you done, X? X answers, well, I made overboard with my power. I paralyzed you, Ultika. X gives Ultika Grimes. Ultika threatened to X he should kill him. X says, kill me or not. I can forgive you for that. Do you want to yield, Ultika? Ultika signs and says, I yield and am sorry. X disabled his God Eye of Odin and gives Ultika a fist bump. Ultika let go of his anger and bowed to X. Chigi says, okay, boys. It's mine turn to kick this human kick-ass. Ultika says, Chigi, are you sure about this? Chigi nodded yes. 8.